This is a long poem inspired by a night going through a Basquiat book about 5 years ago. Little more to say but the poem. After Basquiat, sample signals for the gut run, the life wrench, like checking the footing on the most precipitous slope findable before you fall from it. Whether derangement or sanity appears in that dream character, you could have seen it all, and did, on a slide rule in your 10th grade physics class as you stumbled half-formed through shambolic, be sainted, be twisted, youth of the West, youth of the East, part of the West. Something for reckoning that neither words nor image can satisfy. There are lightnings other than the emissaries, those Hijira-mad deviants to whom life is a gift for the dismantling of primordial and future selves, and yet, as the man said, some sucker punch can't even pucker cellophane. Some hearts, ever diaphanous. All of the inherent beauty was subverted, depending, of course, upon how much one wished to see it. Cheering from the womb, or remained in its hall, dependent, of course, on how much the brilliant refrained from presenting it. Folklore, the running of the bones remaining in their hell, resplendent of balance, of naivete, of all the drink and dram of what it is to be born, and thinkless until a suitable jungle fawn is born and has a look around. And glancing mostly down, pronounces herself desirous of throwing the jungle to erect, to make pithecanthropy into an impossible beast we name civilization, all eyes and tits, all prepuce pudendum and night fingers fallen in air, their bones emitting the ordinary guttural groans. You can't even distinguish it anymore, so suffusive of city is that barbarous noise. Jean-Michel tore the middle out of earth, middle ground right out of its easeful dream, disemboweled the idea that anyone had even a minute to consider self and his own courage, and that of the few like him, and is why I dialogue with pen, with pad, and not with humans in any of the despicable and modern ways. Tore the middle ground, tore the sample signals from their safety, their directives, planted a new fort, sowed teeth and new rhizomes for an angry, remade, reconsider, cease to make or consider, and begin to comprehend what is a bid and whence emanateth. It ain't main chance, my dutifuls, and it certainly won't be easily understandable, and you'll shift in your underwear, pleasantly uncomfortable, wondering why this? Why this? Place at the edges of the frame, moving inward upon your now claustrophobic self, would be the first moment of sight, the initial experience, and why you ever mistook the difficult for the simple, or simplicity for an angry energy, and made life out of misreadings and erasures, searching what never could be written, and paintings no cave wall ever could have galleried. Forget again by forces you once forgot, by dint of bodiless meandering, when to forget meant to live right and honorably, and knowledge went into any convenient dumbwaiter on its way up. Dawn, down, disheveled, beach rock, not to be separated again, symbol, heritage, grace. Fall from all three into the impossibility of time, separation, romance, where the nomad no longer searches but only leaves, where civilization itself is itinerant, and the man, well, frankly, who knows what is a man against the backdrop, against firestorm that incinerates all but man, all but what he has created, which reveals his special anguish, and wish that civilization settle again astride the Po or Tigris, or in old Chaldea, or anywhere again in a new try, where at last light came to perch to reside under the eye, he said, to illuminate that it's kind of painful, kind of amazing, both painful and amazing to live. So you put up with amazing just to indulge any raw spasm awaiting a name, to stamp it with yours, even if it ain't, wasn't, never could be owned, or even owed, or underscored, undersigned, underwritten, overheard, overawed, oversmitten, and then go around guessing at why you had to love, when what emerges from love, what returns it brings, so rarely match the excitement for life which presented love to you. And why? What wayward gypsy, what mover and farer high sky, peregrine or dust, is love, or its ineluctable companion, hate? Hate looks on love with tenderness. They're too shy to mate. For isn't hate merely legerdemain, a hocus pocus and mostly loco excuse for the learned inability to reach or to touch, literally, a hating to love? Yes, yes. Well then, life, in rubric above the sentiments, is but cantankerous plagiarist. So there's only to obsess during all those earthly days, since all her fields are rife with undiscovered purity, meaning perfection and flaw, life and the art of the pall, sheerly dispassionate dream, and unendurable enthusiasm, of 10,000, 40,000 misguidednesses. The threads are drawn and bound, and if life be the ball, then art, my decents and depraveds, friend, adversary, invisibly known, is the chain, fetish, half-truth, the sacrilege, and the religion, which together green and oxygenate us, but that seeds the skies with an inbuilt frailty for the fall. Eh, Jean-Michel? You only can tear middle ground. You only can gig yourself and choke on chthonic reality, flounder-like, and the spear you use to do that is art. Only art. Life in Paul time. Life in an unmoving middle hour, middle house. Life within the savagery of your very own feral savannah, your fantasy characters, your personal unchanging chimera, with whom you've made, to date, this terrestrial route. Life in the house of rout. Life in the edificial riot. Life in order of dolors, of the lachrymose, the sullen visage of the Solon, an unbandied licity intercity proclamation in a clangorous void. Noises from the air, of the mail, rusty, creaking as the eidolon makes his way through a time not his. House in the void of life. Life with the uninvited guest, the uninvited host, void in the life of house, as the benediction races through the wind on waves of the unlikeliest freedom. No thought controlling, forthcoming, and none recollectible. The arts of man of earth reduced to an edible. Ingestible art! The next, the latest, the only, ridiculous sums, for the horror to make Munch and his scream seem the sandbox play of 4-year-olds. The languor living in clangorous mail, armor of odi et amo, and in due use of heroin, cocaine, to maintain that little boy, original thought, great man glance, pinned to Charlie Parker's lapel like a butterfly, and I, of course, to Jack Spicer's. Relations being of whom, of time, quite patently, completely recyclable. The doom set of moon, the sandbox play of the children, fighting the impulse of odi et amo, even so young, inversion, no doom, all benison. Get out and get at, scrape the scab to find not wound or wheel. Charlie Parker cast as unwitting and unwilling Loki, playing the notes of how soon we all die, I, before your very still lives. Jean-Michel, how sage to make your panels and split this gift-wrapped plane at 27. You knew there'd be no one to talk to in America's future. Everyone bought off, under a cover, dumbed down, afraid of himself. Everyone wanting desperately to be noticed, valued, loved, conducted, hoofed on the ass, bashed, reconstituted, reinvented, and not one with a thing any more to say. Made your heritage unaffectedly, with as faithful a perfection as you could make out belong to the speechless half of our planet. Ours, even if once. One spoke. Even if once one spoke, odds makers wouldn't touch the damn thing. Fire, ordinary fire, extraordinary light. Death of the artist as a comic backdrop for cosmos, as the only event. The leaving, the early murder, suicide, accident, choose yours, won't you please, before someone else gets to arrange one for you. The only accident worth paying attendance. Edible art. Indelible thereafter. There is nothing important anymore. Basquiat was the last to see. Everyone else is hopefully laughably amateur, makers only inveterate in boredom, in self-lauding, in whoredom. The time of the anti-visionary, he who has it but packs it off, has arrived. So the rest must take up the walking crook and go. Speech, peroration, Shakespeare, logorrhea, drooling, go atmosphere, seek to enter the shadow, play a bone ticket to be of the circus. In fact, anything but seeking sense while the edict demands all such kibbutzes and their songs removed. Life in the fire at void. Rigors on house in the poem. Declaimed, defamed, after its fact, made a joke, punished, audience for believing in him, the ultimate example of the anti-visionary, spread thinly in the house of slogan, cliche swallowing all the little fish. No accounting for a game lost, 1-1, not even played or cared about anymore. Unsatisfactory fire, languor, clamor, odi et amo with a more modern image of the god Amor, holding a shield, fending away man's sally instead of facilitating it. Game piece lost, mantelpiece smashed, art again and forever worth only money. The thief succeeding at every earthly game, devalued, overvalued, overhyped, punch happy, punch drunk, rich, plain drunk, heroin and cocaine to remain young, or recidivism for a fresh self-foretelling. Art. Shit. Honeycomb and catacomb. Enola Gay. Oblivion. Oblivious as a populace. Entropy. Helplessness. Elevation. Life in the house of making one's point. Life in a hallway of clamor. Life and the death of our approaching ecstasy. Fire, liquor, rent, charred remains after a cleansing, riot, wall, left behind or gone ahead. Gone, jazz just gone. Life in the realm of the dolers and all its grief-loving tenants. The true artist always last, given money on which to choke and drown. Infallibly drown. Repetitive. Songs about and wreathed in common airways. Rending middle ground with a middle ear to command it, he said, is to be in business. As a musician, Chopin, what can be understood versus what must remain mystery. Visionary, the few, or anti-visionary, almost none. No differences, no profundities, just the cartoon idly running on any television, any channel. The coarse, proper, death. Death and, or of, art. Your choice. Your only choice. Jazz. The Wipeout. All very cool. Very cool.
So, after Basquiat, Against the Rocks, it appears we chose a perfect place.
In the desert, Red Rock Desert, just west of Las Vegas, amid the scree and
the lichen.
eucalyptus,
The lichen.
and the talismans of the natural world. Go up the
Very Basquiat-like, a lot of it.
go up
The ruination, the fire, Odi Adamo. Catullus.